Well, the Home Secretary has been meeting with the French Interior Minister to finalise a new agreement on tackling illegal crossings.
It is expected to include a 40% increase in the number of officers patrolling beaches in northern France, as well as investment in port security to try to prevent illegal entry.
Now, UK officers will work together with French officers for the first time, sharing information to try to understand what's going on. There'll also be a focus on technology and more investment in removal centres.
Well, the Home Secretary has been talking, and in the last few minutes we've been hearing from her. Let's have a listen to what she has to say.
There are several elements to the deal, and I think it represents a positive next step to our collaboration with the French. It's not going to fix it overnight, it's not a silver bullet, but I think for the first time we have some real wins for both the French and the UK. First of all, we'll see embedded observers. That means there will be British officers working on French soil, observing the work or working on the ground with French officers to detect and intercept the illegal migrants as they attempt to leave France. We'll be working hand in hand in the control rooms, managing intelligence and working with law enforcement bodies. There'll be a 40% uplift in the number of French gendarmes patrolling the French beaches, and there'll be stronger and closer collaboration when it comes to criminal law enforcement, intelligence collaboration and interception upstream, so that the organised immigration criminal gangs can further be disrupted and dismantled.
Well, let's talk to the Director for Migrant Voice, Nazik Ramadan, who's here in the studio. It's lovely to see you this morning. Can I ask what you think of all of this? I mean, the fact that the Home Secretary is talking about trying to intercept criminal gangs, prevent illegal migration into the UK, and this is clearly a step in the right direction as far as she's concerned. Do you accept that something does need to be done to stop what we're seeing at the moment?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we've been calling for legal routes to put an end to people needing to travel illegally and risk their lives in order to save them. And it's about time they did something. We need to maybe to put things in context. We've been hearing a lot about migration in news. Just to say that UK rates number 18 amongst European countries per the number of people they receive, asylum seekers who come to the UK. And also France takes 3 times more people than the UK, in asylum applications. So does Germany and Greece and others. So UK is not the number 1 destination, and UK only hosts 1% of the world's refugees. So it's important to put this in context. But also, we're talking about legal crossing, just to remember that more than 2/3 of those people who are crossing through the channels are being given asylum on the first application, first attempt. So we are dealing with people who are fleeing persecution and wars and who needs our protection.
With respect, though, those figures in relation to how many are given asylum are backdated, because we know it takes at least a year now to go through these applications. And just this summer alone, 60% of those crossing were from Albania, where there is no reason to be seeking refuge here in the UK. And so there is a problem, is there not, with people who are actually economic migrants coming here and being put up at vast expense for the taxpayer, millions of pounds per day, in hotels, when quite frankly they could be earning a living in their own country.
Yeah, I mean, there are 2 issues here. I think the Albanian situation is a little bit different, but
it's
90% of the Albanian
women...
women...
You can't separate that out of it,
yeah,
can you?
90% of the Albanian women and children who come are granted asylum, just to be clear. But this is about if people want to come and work. There are no legal routes for people to come. But putting people in hotels, why are we putting people in hotels for too long? Why can we not process applications faster? And why not allow people to work? My organisation works with people who have been waiting for decision for many, many years, and they are feeling destroyed as human beings because they can work, they can rely on themselves. They are forced to live in poverty. I mean, we're hearing about people in hotels. I'm hearing of 10 people in a room and 3 rooms sharing 1 toilet, and people having shower on another floor, and people having to live on horrible food and £8 per week to pay for travel, for telephones, for shampoo, for hygiene stuff. I mean, people are struggling.
So, but do they look at that? I mean, and that's an awful situation. From a human perspective, that's an awful situation. Let's make no bones about it. However, do those people then end up thinking, well, I wish I hadn't come?
I mean, you know, most people wish they never made that journey. The first thing when you ask someone, what do you tell others after you cross that channel? Say, you know, don't make it. People are forced to make this journey. No one would, you know, risk their lives and sit on that boat and be prepared to that unless, you know...
Forgive me, but apart from the fact they're making that journey, because it's the channel crossings that we're focusing on,
Yes.
they're making that journey from a safe country. France is a safe country.
Well, if you have connections to the UK, if all your family is in the UK, if your parents are in the UK, if, you know, this is why you want to come to the UK. And as I said earlier, France already takes three times as many people as the UK. So not everyone come to the UK, actually smaller number of people. And we're saying lots of people come through the Channel crossing just because all other routes have closed.
Well, except you say that, and, you know, I think the big problem with this is that we're conflating into this people who are economic migrants with people who are genuinely seeking asylum and are actually fleeing a dangerous country like Syria. When you're talking about economic migrants, of course there are legal routes. You can get a working visa if you're a nurse or a doctor. I think we issue something like 8,500 visas in this country per week. So there are legal routes into the country and valuable roles to be taken up.
Well, I mean, again, as I said, the situation with the Albanians is very new. It's only this year we've seen that increase, and a separate story, and shouldn't be conflated with those who are here fleeing for their lives. And there's only one way to find out if people, you know, are fleeing safety, is to assess them, is to process them, is to talk to them. You can't just brand people as illegal if you don't know, if you haven't even listened to them. And I hope, you know, from today's agreement, that there is a practical solution. And for once, the UK government is not only spending money on security and building more fences and walls in the face of desperate people who need our protection and who have the rights under international law to seek our protection, regardless of the way they choose to travel. I hope this time there's something, you know, practical. We've been asking the government, why don't you have processing center in Calais?
Yeah,
if you don't want people to make this crossing, process them there, have a center, meet them there, talk to them, assess them, and then allow them to travel legally. But there are no legal routes. UK, to claim asylum in UK, you must be on UK soil. And all those legal routes have been closed. There are a small number of legal routes, but they're very restrictive and very small indeed.
OK. Nazit, really good to talk to you this morning.
Very much.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for having me.
No, I mean, it's interesting. There's been a lot of people said about having, you know, doing the processing in France, which makes a lot of sense. The problem is, of course, the French haven't wanted us to do that. But maybe this changes with all of this.
Yeah. And look, as I said during that interview, I think the big tragedy of all of this is that we conflate the two things and we lose all sympathy for everybody involved. But we are an incredibly wealthy country compared to most in the world, and therefore we do have a duty to take in people when they are fleeing persecution, whatever it may be. We just don't want to be taken advantage of, do we?
No, but it's getting that balance right, isn't
Absolutely.
it? So maybe this is a step in the right direction. I mean, we need more detail.
Thoughts.
We need to see how it's going to work in practice, don't we?
Now.
Let us know what you think.